now we're going to talk about adoption, right? The key to behavior change, particularly around AI, is shadow IT workarounds, right? We've got the ChatGPTs, we've got the, remember I said this put me in therapy, that I'll just email it to myself, right? And as I still here, SharePoint, fine. If you have to OneDrive it, I can live with that. But getting, and then the other side is this change fatigue. When you are deploying Copilot, it's new, it's exciting. I'm going to come in, this is my energy level, right? So I'm caffeinated and ready to go. But our people are frequently not. They are overworked, they are underpaid, they are under-resourced, they got a million other things, and then insert time of year. I haven't found a department when there is a good time of year. It's always a budget cycle, it's always an end of quarter, it's always a monthly reporting, it's always a something, and we're layering this in. It's another thing that we're asking our people to do. So we have to be gentle for them. So one of the things, and there's some great research, there's a book called, the book is called Change. University of Pennsylvania. That's really, it's my second UPenn reference. They're not paying me, but whatever. So Damon Santola's book is all about understanding behavior changes at scale, social movements and why people move things. So for awareness, big, loud announcements, people understand. They can hear it because it's the only voice. It doesn't get a behavior to change. Don't do this. Even worse, don't tell people to do a negative. So really never gonna get it. Real behavior change happens at the periphery of your network. It's the, and I couldn't license the music for Not Like Us, but it's the people like us. It's the people who do the things we do, who have the burdens that we have. Those are the people that we trust for information. That is how behaviors shift. So if you want to get people to change it, you need to get them to actually care about it within their domain, their department, their scope of work, their agency, whatever that is. Just shouting how great Copilot is or AI isn't going to get your users to actually change or use it. Finding a coworker that has the same pain that they have, that's been in the department for the 20 years that you have, that suffers under the same reporting constraints that you have, oh yeah. Those people already, they influence each other constantly. There's a new X lookup or a new formula in Excel, you'll see how fast that flies through the department because it's useful from people who are like them. BJ5 is famous. This is the 5 behavior model. Basically, behavior equals motivation, ability, and triggers. Things that are over here actually happen. Things that are down here do not. Do they have the ability to do whatever it is you would like them to do? We're rolling out a new process for end of quarter reporting using a template. Told you which template. You don't have the ability to do it. We tend to do this a lot without knowing it. I end up working with a lot of different departments where they're like, we were told to do this, we don't know what it is. Because they don't have the ability, they were never given the actual thing that everybody assumes they already have. And there's a fun thing where there's the awkwardness of, once it's been out there enough, nobody wants to say, we don't have the template. And my great example of this is, my name is Tim, but there is a local Starbucks that I go to at least once a week. And when I walk in, because I have been going to the same Starbucks for 20 years. Hey, Andy. I'm Andy. They write on my cup, Andy. I get smiles. At some point, I became Andy, and I felt it was a little weird, so I didn't correct it. What does it matter? And now I'm to the place where I'm too embarrassed to tell them I'm not Andy. They've introduced me as Andy to other people. So like, that's just one of those things where, how awkward would it be for me to tell the barista, my name is actually Tim, right? Like, there's no real social loss there. My name is Tim, not Andy. She'd write Tim on the cup, yet I still can't do it. So if I can't do it for Starbucks, our people really struggle. So when it comes to co-pilot adoption, I've got some of the big pillars up there. And this is the biggest one and the hardest one. It's transparency. Your people will get behind your decisions if they understand why you made the decision. We don't get this because we don't have the budget and we are trying to do this. We can rally behind that. But when there's a lack of transparency, you will lose people. There are some that are like me in the world where they will not go quietly. I will scream and yell, but many people will suffer in silence from a lack of transparency. So when are we getting Copilot? How are we going to use it? Work transparently. These are the prompts I tried. This is what I got. This worked. This didn't work. This is what I'm trying it on. By just being transparent about your Copilot usage creates a safe space for others to do it. Then I talk about advocacy. Particularly in the Copilot world, it's IT driven. Well, it's IT enabled. Without IT, nothing is changing. But you've got to advocate for it. This is what we're using it for. This is why it matters to us. This is how executive assistants are using it because they're managing multiple group calendars and schedulings. Like, they need that narrative. And so I've actually got some resources in here. And so advocating for yourself and your users is really, really, really important. It puts a story behind the numbers. We're asking for these licenses, this number of people for this, blah. Give me a story why that matters. Feedback is important. We ask for it too many places, and basically society is sick of it. If you are not going to do anything with feedback, do not ask for it. Right? Because every time I get gas, every time I get coffee, every time I take an Uber, every time I go to a McDonald's drive-thru, I'm being asked for feedback. Oh yeah, you're asking me for feedback on Copilot or what I'm doing in the department. You just want another thing in there that you're not going to do anything with it. Chick-fil-A does. I get a coupon when I respond to that. Like, they're taking it, they care about my feedback. So if you're going to ask for it, that kind of ticks back to transparency. Do something with it. We have SharePoint lists we put some feedback into. We gather the feedback, we de-identify it because nobody wants to be like, this is Sarah, can you believe what she said? We say, somebody who works in Excel all day has a problem like this. But we put it out there, we get more feedback from using it. When we can fix Sarah's problem, we can then follow up on that feedback to Sarah to say, we've heard you, we fixed it, this is what was done. If you're going to actually take action on feedback, do it and follow up with the person, go for it, do it. Because you will get more from the entire group if you take action. It's a double-edged sword. If you do nothing with it, you will get less in the future. HR does a lot of this. We're doing our quarterly survey for employee morale. Trust us, we don't know that it's you, John. Right? And then they wonder, well, you didn't put much effort into it. Well, why are they? Right? It's a dance. So if you're not enthusiastic about it, why should they be enthusiastic to give you feedback you're going to do nothing with? And then we try to build communities. And what I mean by communities is a group of people that are like-minded around something. It can be executive assistants juggling group calendars and scheduling. It's a great community to have. We've got communities for Excel formula nerds. The wizardry that people can do with Excel formulas, they're great. So setting up a community, a team in team, channel within a team for those people to have those conversations, it's really easy and it helps with adoption. Does anybody know Brent Dykes? Love him. So I include this in here, Effective Data Storytelling. It is a great book. I highly recommend the book. I highly recommend the masterclass. I highly recommend Brent Dykes. If nothing else, well, here's the cheat sheet, right? So we will have our data collection because we're in Microsoft and that's what we do. We have prep. We have many ways to visualize data. We have some ways to analyze the data, but 5 here, right? How do we get to a data story? And it doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't have to be too much. The big orange light on my daughter's dashboard tells me about the engine problem she's having. But it also has a little tire icon that's on her car. So does anybody care? Does my wife care that it needs an oil change and tires? But if I say to my wife, okay, so in addition this summer, one of the things that we need to do is we need to get 4 new tires and a real engine service for her car because I don't want my daughter driving around Washington, D.C., breaking down and getting flat tires. All of a sudden, I just got $1,500 worth of car repairs approved that I wouldn't have gotten if I just went, oh, yeah, the Ford needs an oil change. So by being able to, well, you guys saw this in the last one on how busy we are and where we're going for information. There is another great book, Atomic Habits, and I love this one from James Clear because it is everybody at the start of a race has the same goal. Win the race. But the winner is the one that actually has the systems and processes in place to win it. They're up, they exercise more, they train harder, they have those systems. So if we want to, if the goal is we're going to deploy Copilot to our people and we're going to have high adoption rates and our people are going to use it, okay, it's a lofty goal, but what systems are we putting in place to support our people in using it? Are we being transparent with people? Are we collecting their feedback? So this one you saw earlier on drowning email. So we can actually see the emails in the systems. Here's another one that I do love. People communicating by modes. So this is among 36,000 Microsoft users. 19,000 are going via email, and only 6,000 are chats and Teams. So when we see this kind of data in adoption, it's like, okay, well now we're using email as a file server. We're using Outlook to send attachments. Am I going to give a webinar on Copilot in Teams when these people aren't using Teams? These people are using Outlook. If I want their attention, I can talk about Outlook all day long. Beware, Outlook. People will open that email. The responses. Now, I know what Microsoft is trying to do with this one, but the responses, so out of 137,000 emails, 60,000 were responded to. That goes back to that video. Oh my gosh, you're telling me that 50% of the emails that hit my inbox I reply to? That's not my day job. That is a massive amount of information flowing via email. Now, if my job is email, okay, that's one thing. But that is crazy. And then our chat versus channel metric. So this is an adoption metric that we get, where that goes back to, in the Microsoft, one of the great visualizations that I like is they have the me, we, us. circles of, chat messages are me. Me and Ken are talking. That's not everybody in our department, that's just he and I. So the conversations that he and I are having, yes, they're in my Copilot and in Ken's Copilot, but when another person joins our team, it's not going to be in their Copilot. And so and that ties back to transparency. If we work transparently in our channel in Teams, then it's nurturing the future generation of our department. The person who joins our department a year from now is going to be better off because of what we are doing today, if we cared about them. Here's another fun one that I didn't put names on this one because this data is out there, and this goes to earlier somebody had asked about inaccurate information in Copilot, and this is here you go. We have 7,000 SharePoint sites. We have 1,000 that are active. We have 100 terabytes of storage used, and how many active? So, okay, all right. So there's a lot going on here, but and what Microsoft Adoption reports are great for is, all right, I've got this data, I've got this information, but what is the behavior that drives? What is the behavior that has to be true to get numbers like this? Well, 6,000 SharePoint sites that should have been decommissioned that aren't. Fair enough. Should be archived. Is there a way for us to manage? We don't want to lose anything because we're always afraid that some piece of data, some point in the future, we're going to need. But is there a way for us to not have it, to have it in cold storage? Do I need to keep 100 terabytes of active storage going on when I need that much? And that goes to what you were saying earlier about data management, data life cycles. This is a fun one that, and by the way, these are real examples, but with no names, because we all have something along these lines. So OneDrive, we have 1,000 OneDrive accounts. We have 211 active OneDrive accounts. I have 800 accounts that don't exist.
Now you got 800 people that are probably sending stuff locally on their files on their laptop.
But I've got 2.1 million files, of which none of which are being used. Okay. All right. So this is a fun one. So when there's a graph like this, what is going on in our adoption of OneDrive to end up here? I get it. Turnover. I've got high turnover, and when John leaves the department, nobody is willing to pick up the nightmare that is John's OneDrive organization, because and this is a fun one because everybody thinks that their way of file and folder naming is logical, and it is. It is only logical to the person in the mirror. Because when people leave and somebody gets to take over their files, no idea to know what it is. The best that I have heard consistently is last edit date. That's what people go by. I don't know what they were thinking, so I just looked at the last thing, and whatever they were working on the last 6 months, we moved that over, and I have no idea what the other stuff is. So, and where this really comes into play for Copilot is remember everything in your Microsoft Graph is things that you have view access to. That counts these. So if the information that's in here isn't accurate, isn't up to date, is irrelevant, is erroneous, it's an authoritative source as far as Copilot is concerned. So this is another one where we see this frequently. Here is our channel messages, and here is our chat messages. And I was joking with the Microsoft people because I have yet to, I'm in a lot of Microsoft tenants, from federal government to state government to commercial to EDU. And for all of our talk about work-life balance and people having things, until there's a Microsoft outage, I don't see it ever go to zero. People are working weekends. Our people don't work weekends. The data shows they do. They are checking emails. So, but you can see the spike. This is all chat messages, not channel messages. So that means when Copilot gets enabled and people start doing it, I am going to have 22,000, well, those aren't people, but I am going to have 18,000 unique experiences that are not clustered by departments, because it's going to be wherever these people are chatting and whatever they have. So when Copilot goes in and it pulls in things and it tries to be better, it's going to be all over the place for people, depending on what information that is available there in their graph. So this is where many people say, oh, but Tim, you work in EDU, you work with commercial, those people get so much more information than we do in GCC. This is available in GCC. This is one of the nice reports because my GCC people love this, because it is a Power BI dashboard that is built off of a Purview audit report. And what that means is, instead of giving somebody what's called report reader access, in order for you to see this chart, you have to have elevated permissions in a tenant. And I don't know.
So in North Carolina, they use a tool called AppPoint, and distributed admins for SharePoint have access to AppPoint.
Certain people,
only certain people.
Only certain people do. This is a Power BI dashboard. A lot more people can have access to see it.
Yeah.
So the data that, now, this one gets updated every morning. Microsoft manages that. Those reports are available for, it is only retained for the last 180 days, but you don't have to do anything. This one is available, and because it's your Power BI off of a CSV file that sits on your SharePoint, you can have as much historical information as you feel like keeping.
So I know if you're working on this.
Yep.
So for Copilot to be most effective, so you're talking about those OneDrive, you have 800 inactive OneDrives, but those generally are not going to be feeding into Copilot, right? Because they belong to the individual unless people were connected to those particular.
Oh, yeah. All right. So this is a fun one. My coworker Bill is he heard it. He heard this question. He's in Florida, but this is what keeps him up at night. There is a habit where I'm going to share a file with you. So I don't put an email, I'm going to share a file with you. I click share and I click copy link. Right? Then I send you the link. And there is the share with everybody except external users. That means that, so when I do that to share the link with you, and this is a very common habit. I have shared the file with you, and you, and you, and you. Now, today, most people are not going in doing advanced SQL queries on their graph to try and find what document I sent with you. But in the Copilot world, your intent, what you put in the prompt, might be things that we put on and that would come up.
So you chose the easy way out by just sharing with everybody but external users, but what you really do is just gave access to that file to everybody in the company.
And that behavior we see, and Bill has a great way of running a report that gives us where is the everyone that external users claim used, how big a problem do we have, where is this problem, by department, by person, by content, and then it can be turned off.
Those are some of the things we worked on with Ash at Central IT.
Yeah.
And then the SharePoint admins are aware of the ability to go do due diligence before Copilot's turned on for any agency. They're gonna run some reports like that. They may tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, did you know you're using the everything over here?
Right.
We gotta get rid of this, like, let's stop this. So there's gonna be some due diligence as you get onboarded to use Copilot.
And then, when you were talking about the amount of data or files that we have, and there's this little line that we're using, and there's all this other,
Right.
I can't remember the numbers you have there. To make Copilot effective, then you need to go in and clean up all your SharePoint files?
You will, so Copilot will be effective hour one. The more you use it, the more robust your prompts get, the deeper you're going onto it. When you start to go into agents, you're gonna have these weird edge cases. And they're going to get more and more annoying as you're using it. And that's a reflection of data organization. So, this is one of those, like, I don't know if you remember the conversations we had years ago about, we're gonna have a data lake. Right, we're gonna put all our data in the data lake. What we all ended up with was a data swamp. We took all the bad data over here and we stuck it over here and we put a new shiny logo on it and called it something new, but it's still a mess. Same problem. There are those that are cleaning it up and there are those that are not.
30 years ago, we called it garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Right, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We still have people living out of email.
More governance, more policies.
Yep.
Yeah, this is nothing new,
Exactly.
right? Like Copilot is just making it worse, right? Like these problems exist
Making
well
it
before
apparent.
Copilot.
Right.
And I think that's important, like, the more something's in your face, the harder, not impossible, but harder it is to ignore, when it's there.
Right.
Right. One of our a federal client of ours, we created what's called a honeypot. We created a folder filled with fake passport numbers, fake credit card numbers, fake salary information, fake, like, the whole reason we did that was because as we were testing out Copilot, we wanted to see where that was coming in. And absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So we put a honeypot in so that when we were running those tests, we actually got results. But the reassuring thing was the only thing that came up was the stuff we sent.
That's good.
So, while there's nothing that's 100%, it at least helped to increase the confidence. So this dashboard is available. This is all part of that same package. So this package is available. I can give you the solution accelerator link for it to go in. Purview runs, it drops the CSV file in the location, Power BI pulls it up. Out of the box dashboards, Brent, certainly not Brent effective data storytelling because you still have, but it gives you a foundation, and the foundation from which you can build off and tailor it to your needs. But this allows you to see Copilot, Copilot in Excel, Copilot in Teams, Copilot as by department. You can slice and dice. And really, that goes back to the transparency. Because if this is just a Power BI, we can make this available to non-IT folk to see what's going on, to help encourage usage. I don't want to encourage everything, because yelling at somebody to use Copilot in Excel that doesn't use Excel doesn't do any good, right? And their OALs, they're going to be How many tenants do they have?
Well, the state has one large tenant, and there's about 9 other separate tenants in the state.
Okay, and have they set their libraries?
No idea.
Okay. So an OAL is your organizational asset library. So that is, and has been available in Microsoft 365 for years. This is nothing new. It is new value with Copilot. Your organizational asset library is, this is my Excel template, this is my Word template, this is my PowerPoint. This is my PowerPoint template that has passed all of the accessibility checks, that has our boilerplate, that has what we need to do, our logos. We've always had those template libraries available to us. When Copilot is enabled, Copilot will respect those. So if you tell it to make it a presentation based on the meeting notes, it will use those, which makes your people even happier because things just look the way they're supposed to look. They're formatted the way they're supposed to be formatted. They have the style that they're supposed to have.
And then Copilot can take advantage of those templates and build out a PowerPoint in that specific template because it knows that's the authoritative source for it to use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long has the OAL been in
been in
GCC? It's been in
SharePoint.
GCC High. 3 months ago, I couldn't find it in GCC High, so
Well, maybe
Your OAL?
Yeah.
In SharePoint, you didn't?
couldn't find it.
in GCC High.
Oh, would you see high?
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering when it was available in GCC, when it became available.
That's a question, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's been available in GCC.
I know HHS has it. I know CMS, they're GCC, and they have it. So,
Yeah.
And that's
It's
all
been a
we should worry about.
SharePoint.
yeah.
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 Yeah, the other new thing is that site branding feature
Right.
too. I don't know if that's available yet. It's
Right.
the same thing, but it's just in the admin center.
Yep. Okay. So all of these help to drive adoption. That's my last slide. Any questions? Anything I didn't cover?
Planet obviously does this for a living. We do a lot of managed services and a lot of adoption services and training services. So if anyone's interested, this is a lot of work, to do proactively on a monthly basis. If that's something, if you really want to get ROI on your licenses, if you don't have somebody dedicated to doing it, it's not going to get done because we've been running, M365 since 2014, and proactive adoption has not been something people spent money on. But now that you've got Copilot licenses, you want to make sure that people are using those licenses, or we've sent Shannon off to somebody else who will use them, right? So it's more important than ever to start getting a handle on adoption and where people are spending their time.
Yeah, I was telling Ken, I'm actually working with Ash, and there has been discussions about adoption and training around
Yeah.
both Copilot and the Purview stuff we're working on too, so.
And now
Right.
they've got an point which will give them some adoption reports and things like that, I think, so that'll be huge for
I
the
think
state.
they don't like that.
And they also have, there's something called access reviews, so a lot of this is because there's orphan sites. Nobody's responsible because someone left the organization, you got this orphan site. So what access reviews do now is it sends on some kind of frequency, it could be monthly, it could be quarterly, and sends a message to the owner of the site or to whoever. And it says, are these people still permissions good on this? It's some way of checking on a frequency, right? So access reviews are something you'll probably see more of in the future as well.
Is that just for this state? I'm at WeTech, so.
Oh, you're at WeTech.
You're
If you have a G5 licenses do automatic access licenses, you have A5s, then that should be part of it. If they've rolled it out, they have to set it up. It's not something that comes right out of the box, so.
The problem we have is we have group expiration, but we have retention. So groups are deleted, but none of the SharePoint sites are.
Okay.
So now we have all these,
You have orphan sites.
Right.
a lot of orphan sites.
Yeah.
But I do
But
understand.
don't we have an orphanage? Isn't there a way to move, and I'm half joking, but isn't there a way to move orphan sites into archive
Well,
or?
you certainly could, yeah. I mean, the thing is just be aware, storage is not free. So eventually you're gonna run up against and so you really want to get a handle on your storage before it becomes a problem.
So you have these lovely adoption reports. The biggest issue that we have being EDU is that there's really not a way to differentiate what is student and what is actually employees. Do you know of any reporting that can split the domain?
Oh, absolutely.
It can.
Well, Are,
Do you have a
okay,
different
so
definition
here's
of
the,
student account?
here's
Yeah,
the,
for
here's the
mine.
yes, no, and maybe for EDU. Yes, this can split them because it splits them by the,
Even in
By the
DIT
gap.
44 agency 10, you can still break it down by agency. So
Yeah.
as long as they have a different email address done in,
They do.
you can do that, not that.
well, even in groups,
Or
what
groups,
group
yeah.
memberships they belong to, what parts of their gal properties. So you can do that. So,
Or agency.
yay, EDU can do this. Here's the bad part. Some percentage, I'll bet without even knowing Wake Tech, of your students are also employees.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
Because he works.
And there's always that, yeah, there's always that, oh, how many, and the number of students that are also employees, so that are then seasonal, and it's always surprising, but it is what it is, and that's just,
But it is good to see, like, okay, our students are not using email, they're using Teams, our staff is the one using, because you skew numbers when it's all together.
Well, it's like,
Right.
when we're looking at who uses the web apps versus the desktop apps,
Nope.
it says that they're getting used a lot, like, I'm sure that's the students, not employees.
right.
But we don't, right now, we can't tell.
And is Canvas your LMS?
Blackboard.
Okay, and Blackboard uses Teams?
Yeah.
So we gotta segment out that too, because there's probably a lot of classes
Right,
that are
yeah.
in there, so we gotta take that
Yeah.
whole group out, because at another UNC system, they use Canvas, and Canvas spins up a team in Teams for the
Yes.
class, and it brings everybody in, and that skews,
Yeah.
Right.
because now we have every class with every student,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah,
But there's more.
makes it fun.
So I'm just kind of curious, who's in the room today? You said you guys are from Wake Tech.
Yeah.
You're from
I'm from mental health,
mental health,
and
yes, yeah?
I work with the North Carolina DAC,
Okay,
used to be as DPS
yeah,
till 2 years ago.
full corrections, yeah. Okay,
I think it seems to me that I'm the only person who came here, and I'm intrigued by this. I went to the American Psychiatric Association last month, and I heard that some AI companions may be dangerous to children. And apparently there is one in another state, a 13 or 14-year-old young man who apparently was looking at Games of Thrones
Mm-hmm.
and committed suicide.
yeah, relationships with AI bots is a real thing.
Yes.
And I just heard on NPR yesterday that somebody married their AI bot. Yeah.
Now I've
And
got
I
now I've got Microsoft in there. So, it's,
That was Google.
there are several AIs that are geared. Kumon has a great AI that is built for early childhood education, designed with guardrails all around it for that purpose. Cool. There has always been the video game causes kids to be bad. I mean, I remember there's nothing new there. They said that about the Beatles, then they said that about AC/DC, then they said that about Taylor Swift. Like, I just can't, maybe it's me. So like, there's always going to be that I need to blame another thing for a thing that's just,
That's not
Yeah.
my nature.
Yeah.
right.
Depends on how.
There is a great group, if you care about this, and I do, and I keep the sticker on my laptop. It is called the Algorithmic Justice League, AJL.org. Dr. Joy is her PhD is from MIT. She runs it. Kathy O'Neill, her book is The Weapons of Math Destruction. She is on the AJL board. The Netflix show is called Coded Bias. They are a very active group working on, we have all of these natural biases in what we do. AI as a tool will be imbued with those biases. So if I tell my AI to optimize for my profit, it will exploit the poor. That is the easiest way. History has shown us for me to get rich. If I don't give it any ethics, it will do evil things, or things that would be considered as evil. So all of these things, we want to be aware of what we're doing and we put them in. Less so on Copilot.
The positives were greater though. I mean, they were showing that somebody could come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, look at the program for the day, the patients that that person has to see. And by the end of the day, I mean, that person would be listening and talking with the people. And by the end of the day, the AI would produce the notes and that person has just to review them and sign them.
Right.
Which really increases productivity and saves time.
Right. Well, and there's also a bunch of APA conversations in the community right now on stop treating a psychiatrist like a horse. You gave me only 50 minutes with a patient, and then you expect me to write 30-minute summary on this, and then you expect me to do this, and oh, by the way, I've got to deal with their psychopharmacology, and oh, by the way, I've got to deal with their healthcare, and oh, by the way, you're not paying me for any of it. There's a whole lot of psychological stress going on in the psychological community right now.
We have 400 physicians every year who commit suicide in this country.
Right.
Because of this kind of stress.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, so, AI is not going to save it all. Microsoft Copilot does have all the guardrails. It won't, and sometimes you'll get it, particularly in the healthcare space, particularly in the EDU space, you will butt up against something where Copilot will not do it. And it is the domain that you're in, anything around sexuality, hate, abuse, things that are real academic subjects that need to be researched. Copilot will hold back on working with you because it doesn't understand your motivations for it. That is a separate IT conversation, because if it is for academic research, you can set it up in Azure, you can bring in Copilot, you can unlock it so it has none of those barriers, but that is only for research purposes, that is only in a secure Azure zone. And there's a whole bunch of other hoops you have to get through to do that. But you can leverage it on highly sensitive topics, just not the easy one that's in your Outlook. Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
for the